Shalom, meramigos and dearest family. It's your friendly neighborhood, well-rounded mermaid, Yl'luria, and I hope that you're having a wonderful beginning of October. If you can hear a bit of an echo or a lot of an echo, I humbly apologize. I am in a community space in my building, and it's just got more work surface because my personal lagoon is very, very small. So I hope that this echo is not too horrible for you to handle. And the reason why I am here, let's get straight to it. You may have noticed that I really enjoy customizing my t-shirts, tailoring my t-shirts. And initially that started with a flash mob belly dance event called Shimmy Mob. And part of the tradition in that organization, in that group, is that every year you get a new t-shirt as part of your joining the event, and you get to customize it. And I have carried on that love of customizing my t-shirts ever since. And one of the great things about customized t-shirts is that not only is it wonderful when it's summer and you need a little extra ventilation in your outfit, but also they're great for layering when the weather is a little bit cooler. And if you have a t-shirt that you absolutely love and you want to wear but it's too big or too small, with customizing your t-shirt, with customizing your t-shirt, you can make that garment work better for your shape, no matter what it is. And a while back, I was crowned as one of the royal court for Mermaid at Any Age, and as part of that, we received these adorable t-shirts with this super cute logo. Look at that. And as a representative of Mermaid at Any Age, I want to rock this as often and as proudly as possible, but it's just a hair too fitted for my taste. So what we're gonna do is adjust this beautiful baby so that I can wear it more often. And you know, even if it was 8 sizes too big, like I like them, I would still want to customize this shirt. I have, most of my t-shirts are edited in some way, which, you know, includes open shoulders and strappy backs or altered necklines. So that's what we're gonna do today. We are going to play with editing my Mermaid at Any Age t-shirt. Let's do this. This is a no-sew project, so even if you don't sew, even if you're not a big fabric and crafty person, you can DIY customize your t-shirt. All you'll need, for this project anyway, I do it the rough and dirty method. I eyeball it. I don't even usually, I don't draw anything out ahead of time. I do think of kind of what styles I like, but I've been doing this for so many years, I think 11 now, that I have a style that I usually like, and I can look at a t-shirt and kind of decide what needs doing depending on what I need to get done. For this project, all you'll need is your chosen t-shirt and a pair of scissors. Let's get to it. So first thing you want to do with any t-shirt editing project is that you want to lay it out on a flat surface. It can be a floor, it can be a table, whatever you need, whatever suits your needs best, as long as you have ample room to maneuver and get everything done. Then you want to take a quick look at it and see what kind of design you're looking to create or what needs you need to fill by editing this particular, sorry about the focus, editing this particular garment. So for me, I want to make it a little bigger. I like longer sleeves, so I'm going to take some cuts into the shoulder and do what I can to elongate the sleeves because my arms have always been something that I generally keep to myself. So we're going to customize that and cut some holes here. We have a fabulous V-neck, which that's the reason why I chose this shirt, was because it was, although it's a women's fitted shirt, I wanted the V-neck because I often have to cut my own into shirts, and it would be nice not to have to do that. So we don't have to worry about the neckline too much here, though we may edit it depending on how I feel. And in the back, we have some other thoughts, but let's get to the sleeves first, and we can do the back in a minute. So the first thing I've done is folded it from seam to seam. That way when I start cutting, with heaven's help, all of the things that I do to it will be even, and I will not have to go back and forth from shoulder to shoulder trying to even things up. I've done that before, and it's a bit of a booger. So if you can, let's begin, start out small and then cut big and see what we have in store for this beauty. Also, you want to make sure that things are about as flat as you can get them. They don't have to be perfect, but especially where you're going to be cutting, you want the seams to be nice and flat so that it's less jagged and you have less to do when it comes to the refining and cleaning up the edges. So the first thing I did was make a small V here in both layers, and again my shirt is still folded up so it's as even as I can get it. I made just 2 small cuts and made them meet in the middle for a tiny little V here, and if you've got some raggedy edges, don't worry. One of the beautiful things about t-shirts is that when you start to pull on them, the edges roll, so they sort of finish their own edges, which is great, and that can hide some of that. Or you can trim and neaten things up after you're done with your basic cuts. Then I took about every inch or so and just made a simple slit to extend the coverage of my t-shirt sleeves. And I think I might make one more right here. And you'll also notice that they are not huge cuts. One thing you have to remember is that everything is folded in half. So when they get on your body, the cuts are going to be twice as long. But also, like I said, t-shirts stretch, and so your holes that you make and your slits are going to get larger over time, not just when you first stretch them out, but as the t-shirt gets worn over time, those holes are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you want to start out small, and that's why these little guys are only, I'd say, about 2 inches here and about 1.5 inches toward the end. And I'm going to give one more cut, I think, right here. Something else you want to be mindful of as you alter your t-shirts are the seams. So I don't want to cut into the finishing seam here, and also I've cut on the outside of the seam here, this seam that joins the t-shirt sleeve to the body. If you hack into that, then you may compromise the structural integrity of your t-shirt. So you can cut on either side. I like to do cuts that cover my bra straps. That's a nice way of wearing a bra without it being seen too much in your edited shirt. And yeah, you just want to avoid cutting the seams unless you want something to be stretched out and more roomy. So this is where I'm at so far. I have the same original V cut here, and I've just tried to even up the slits. And again, if they're raggedy, it's okay. The seams will roll. I know it looks a little beat up, but also that's part of the charm of an edited t-shirt. Then I took another snip right on the other side of that seam. There you go, so you can see that. And I took about every inch headed toward the V-neck. And I think I might even those up. But again, I'm trying not to go too deep into the shirt because they will become gaping holes over time. So now that I've got the shoulders kind of doing what I want, I will try it on in a little bit to see how I'm liking the length and width of those cuts. But next, we're gonna do the back. So we've got our t-shirt folded in half, You're gonna fold it in half the other way so your outer side seams are touching, and you want to get those as in line as physically possible. Doesn't matter too much about the top of that matching up any longer, because now we're gonna get to the back. So we've got our back edge facing toward us. Next, we're going to take the inside of this shirt, the front, which is the front, pinch it and pull it out. Let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna hold on to the outer fold. Let me show you here. So I'm gonna hold on, if I held on to both folds, it would look like that, but I'm gonna let that first fold go so that I'm just holding on to the one that preserves the fold in the back. Next, you pull that front half out so that your design is here. Do you see that logo that's right here? So your design is at the front, and you have preserved the straight back seam that you just made with the fold. The front is out of the way so that when you start cutting the back, you don't accidentally hack your front design. And if you don't like the way it feels, if you're not sure that you got that center seam straight, or things might have moved as you pulled the front out, fold that baby back up and do it again. Better to do that before you cut and be sure of where your center seam is before you start hacking at it, because that's harder to correct. So adjust it until it feels right and looks right to you. For me, one thing that definitely helps is I can feel, and some of you may be able to see, the neckline is right here. There's that V-neck that I have not altered. So that is a lovely guide. Also, my neck seams match up, and so do the bottom seams back here. Those are definitely some indicators, and then I will very, very carefully pull the front of the shirt out so I don't accidentally hack the logo design. Once you're done unfolding, the shirt's gonna look real weird, but that's because it is folded in a way that it's not normally folded. It's folded front to back, not side to side. So your arm stuff is probably gonna be weird and wrinkly, and don't let that stress you out. You should be able to feel along your shirt and feel your side seams still together. And if they're not, just adjust, fidget around till it feels right. Same with the top and the shoulder seams. But you don't need to worry about those too terribly as long as your work surface is nice and flat and everything is matched up as good as you can get it. Now it's time to cut. So I have begun cutting strips right underneath the seam of the collar. Again, I want that seam to stay intact so that the structural integrity of the shirt will be maintained, hopefully. And then I have started cutting relatively thin strips. These are less, I'd say about 3/4 of an inch wide, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I want the shirt size to be expanded a bit. I want it to stretch some so that I can get my fluffy butt more easily in there. So these babies, once stretched, will turn out to little stringy dingies, but I don't want them to be super thin. If the strips are crazy thin as they stretch and extend, you don't want them to break. So I wouldn't recommend cutting your strips much thinner than this if you are wanting thin strips and for your t-shirt to expand like me. If you are wanting to do something thicker or to hold the structural integrity more, I would make my strips about 1 inch wide or wider, depending on your design. Also, you can see I've got my neckline and I'm coming down to a certain point. If you would like, you can leave a gap. I try to be mindful about things like wearing a bra underneath. Some people don't have to worry about that or don't mind the bra showing through, and you might choose to cut all the way down. Some people might continue the strips all the way. Some people might cut this whole section off and just have an open back. What I think I'm going to do is stop about here and then resume the strips so that it's stretchier down here, but still kind of covers any bra strap that I might have. Depending on the look you want, you often generally want your cuts to be about the same length. Some people, you can design it differently. You can cut them further out, maybe have them moving in an undulating wave pattern, maybe have sections that are cut wider than others. But one thing you should note as you're customizing your t-shirt is that anything that is cut extensively, so say I have thicker sections that are uncut here, these sections will not stretch out as much as those that have been compromised and cut like these will. So these are going to become longer, thinner strings and not hold their shape as well as, say, if I had a big section like this. If I can get this straight. So if I kept all of this together and didn't cut these strips initially, and I just had a big swath of fabric like this might be a good spot to, say, keep a cinched in shape underneath the bust line or down by the waist. If you want your shape to be more cinched in, more tailored, you would, in theory, leave that section a little more intact so that there was more fabric to hold together. I am wanting a looser shirt all the way around, so I've cut all the way down the shirt, and I even cut that bra strap part that I showed you earlier. Another thing you want to be mindful of as you're cutting your t-shirt is how close certain cuts are to one another in different areas. So if you look here, if my camera will focus, I have cut down around the collar, but my shoulder cuts are getting quite close. So as this tears and stretches, which it will do both over time, I don't want to get super close because that may just become one giant slit, and that's not what we're going for. So I've stopped extending these cuts about an inch away from the shoulder slits so they don't become giant gaping holes. Or at least that's the goal. Now I think it's time to try this baby on. Okay, fishies, we're at stage 1 of being done. The first thing is to just try it on, to see how it works, to see how it fits, to see how your edits may or may not have worked. And so far, I'm really pleased. The arms come down lower, which is nice to cover up my one self-conscious spot, so that's nice. They've given me some more space for a little coverage. We've got the aerated shoulders, and sorry if it's hard for you to see on the black. I am a goth fish, so there's lots of black happening. And let's take a look at the back and see how that went. You're gonna have to tell me how it goes. What do y'all think? How did it turn out? And as you try it on, you're going to stretch at the different tendrils that you just created. Those will stretch out and roll, and your rough edges will neaten up because of that rolling and curling. And you can stretch them more to become larger if you like. Your shirt will naturally stretch as you wear it. This is just one nice way, say if you get a 1X and you needed a 2, or if you get a 10 and you needed a 14, you can give yourself a little more breathing room if you like a slightly looser fit. Now you can't turn, say, a size 8 into a size 16 unless you do like a corset stitch. You would slit your t-shirt up the middle, and I've done this for a couple shirts that I've made. You would slit the back of your t-shirt and poke holes with your scissors in spaced out intervals down your shirt, and then use string or ribbon or whatever you would like to make a shoelace or a corset tie down the back. Then you can have, say, a shirt only on your front and completely open in the back. That is entirely up to you. Style it as you like. I'm really enjoying this. I might leave it just like this. I'm thinking about adding some fringe in the front, But there's one last thing I would recommend you keep in mind as you are customizing your t-shirts. You will be moving in them eventually. So as a dancer, I may be going to an event, or you're at a concert even. Maybe if you're not a performer, you're at a concert, or you're hailing a cab, or you go out dancing one night. Your t-shirt will eventually ride up. So if you decide to cut parts off or cut parts up, make some fringe, you want to think of when you raise your arms, what will that do to the fit of your t-shirt and where it lays on your body? Do you want those cuts to show your midriff a little? Maybe that's some sexy peekaboo action there. Or maybe you don't necessarily want that and you want to keep a little more coverage. So that's something to consider. I have always enjoyed putting a bit of a point to various garments, and that's something I enjoy, but I have noticed over time that I'm teaching with the PDX dancing witches, and when I do my little side stretches, the muffin top gets exposed. So those are just things that you want to think about as you're editing your t-shirt. Your t-shirt will move, it will stretch, and you can very carefully pull on your tears. Say if you want something that's, this isn't quite even, you can very gently pull on it to even things up, but you don't want to really yank on it because you may tear your shirt, and that's not what you're going for. So, this, I think for now, is my Mermaid at Any Age Ocean Ambassador t-shirt that I will represent with pride. And I may edit it more in future, but for right now, I think I'm just going to keep it as is. I have loved editing this with you guys, and I hope that you are all well. I hope you are getting excited about spooky season, and I have some ideas about future videos. But if you have thoughts, I would love to know. So, if you've enjoyed this, if you've learned a little something today, if you've gotten inspired to maybe customize some of your own t-shirts, give me a like, give me a subscribe, or if you're on TikTok or Twitter or Instagram, a follow. I'm pretty much on all the social media, including Facebook at Mermaid Yl'luria. You can find me here on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, just at Yl'luria. I would love to hear from you, get your thoughts, get any suggestions or creative criticism, constructive criticism that you might have. And yeah, if there's anything else I can do to help you out, if you are curious about Mermaid at Any Age, who they are, what they do, who we are, and what we do, give a holler. Maybe I will make a whole video on this beautiful organization that I have been graced to become a part of. I hope you all are having a lovely day, night, week, weekend, whatever you may be, whoever and wherever you may be. Thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, I think that's it. Happy shimmies and waves of love. Bye, y'all.